What was Sigourney Weaver's one no-no on the Nostromo? If Weaver hadn't put her foot down, there might have been more than aliens bumping around in the dark. By the time the credits rolled on 1986's Aliens, Ellen Ripley had been firmly established as the de facto face of the franchise and the most badass sci-fi lead of all time.
Get away from her, you.
But that wasn't always the plan. In fact, one of the wildest things about the Alien franchise is just how much of its success seems to have come about by improvisation. In the original script for 1979's Alien, her character wasn't even supposed to be a woman. Even after Ripley's gender was flipped, the decision to let her survive had little to do with feminism or making Ripley into a franchise lead. Weaver said in a 2006 interview with Total Film, "No one on that film was a feminist. Everyone thought, who will ever think the woman is going to be the survivor? So it was just one big gag." Weaver echoed those comments during a 2022 interview with Mark Maron for his WTF podcast. As the writers saw it, everyone would have expected someone like John Hurt's character to make it to the end, so they tried to subvert that expectation.
We'll just make the girl the survivor, because no one in their wildest dreams will think it's going to end up being the girl.
That kind of thinking illustrates just how much rewriting and recutting happened throughout production. At one point, there was even a sex scene in the script between Ripley and Captain Dallas. According to Roger Luckhurst's book on Alien, the point of it was to give them a brief moment of relief after Kane's gory death, but Weaver herself wasn't impressed by it. As she recounted to Maron, from a story perspective, she didn't think the sex scene made any sense, and she told Ridley Scott that during their first meeting.
I don't know, but this love scene, would you really get it on while this thing was running? Anyway, we had a good talk.
Although the scene was reportedly one of Scott's favorites, he eventually cut it. There are a lot of explanations for why cutting the sex scene made for a wise decision, but the main result is that Ripley really does feel like a character whose gender is essentially irrelevant to the story. She starts the movie off as third in command, and it's only after Dallas's death that she rises as the main authority figure in the group. In the version of the movie we got, the apparent affection we get from Ripley and Dallas can also simply be explained as platonic respect, nothing more. One potential downside to cutting the scene, however, is just that it takes away another opportunity for us to get to know the characters better before the xenomorph kills off 90% of them. Alien is a great movie with a fun, atmospheric plot, but one side effect of the bold dwindling of its cast is that most of the characters don't stick out as much as they probably should have. Is Dallas or Kane really anyone's favorite Alien character? They get a few good character-building moments for fans to pick up on during rewatches, but for casual viewers, they're both gone too soon to properly make an impression. Dallas didn't need a sex scene with Ripley to have a bigger impact on the franchise, but an extra scene or two of him before his death would have gone a long way. That said, we can't complain too much, because Weaver was right. A scene with those two bumping uglies wasn't at all necessary to the plot. And in the end, the only character who really mattered was the one originally set up to be, in her words, one big gag.
This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.